Alright guys, welcome back again. Tabletop WitchCRAFT video number 3 on the windmill. Today we're going to be working on just the roof section of the windmill right here. And it's got some cool fine detail like a little bird nest and stuff up there. With that, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification for all further videos. And with that, let's get crafting. Alright, so we're going to start out by cutting out some triangular pieces for the roof. You can find out those dimensions on the PDF that you can download for free on DriveThruRPG. And you're going to mirror those, so you got 2, and then you're going to hot glue them to some dollar store foam core board where the triangles are cut out just a little bit bigger because you're going to see this is going to lock in the roof, so the roof can actually be taken off and you can play on that upper level. Again, you can find those dimensions off of the PDF, but if you press that triangular piece on that roof right there, you can kind of eyeball the size of the white foam core triangular sections. Then you're just going to lay 2 rectangular pieces over the top, hot glue them in place. If they're off by a little bit, you can always shave that off, because you're going to cover all this in shingles anyway. Alright, so there it is all put together, and what I did here, and I'm showing, is I put a little bit of paint on that section of the roof, and then I snapped that into place on top of the floor there to show me where my holes are going to line up for my magnets. And then just cut those out, hot glue, and stick the magnets in place the same as we've done for the past couple builds. And here we're going to lay down some shingles. I usually put a strip on the last shingle I did and then 1 or 2 on the roof itself. And the shingles here I lay in place just like the wood slats I did in the last build. Let them run over and then just cut them off, the excess off with a knife. The shingles themselves, it's just about 3/4 of an inch of XPS foam, and then I just draw that design out and I cut it all out in the Proxxon and then shave it all. So one piece of shingle that I made will make about 7 shingles. I'll do a video on that later on how to get those exactly done. Here I just made some wood slats again like we did in the last video, and just cut those out to fit, lay them in place. Again, we're covering up all of our joints here. And here I'm just actually drawing in the wood instead of placing it there with XPS foam. We're going to cover most of this anyway later on in the build. And I'm just drawing in a little bit of wood grain. Alright, now again we're covering up the ends here, tidying things up a little bit. I'm going to put a little hot glue, and then just some XPS foam over the edge. You'll see how they're angled a little bit. I did that just to kind of make them fit a little bit nicer at the peak there. Alright, and here you'll see I did a bunch of little supports. They're probably 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch long, and just glued them all into place real easy. A little bit of hot glue. Right here I'm just giving a little bit of circular wood grain on the end that you'd see at the end of a log. And here I'm just kind of trying to poke out a hole to get this dowel into where our sail is going to fit, which we will get into in the next video. And it's a 1/4 inch dowel stick. Alright, now I made the section that the sail's going to fit to, but I also needed a small section, the same exact thing but for the other side, And to be honest, I didn't feel like making it over again, so I just took one layer off. Here you can see I'm cutting it. I'm going to use that to cover the back and the larger section in the front, which you'll see we're going to fit a bearing into later on in the build for the sail. And I'm just copying over that wood grain that I just cut off. Here I'm just measuring out the diameter of the dowel, and I'm going to cut that out. And now we're at the Mod Podge part. Mod Podge again, a little bit of water and some black paint. I like to put it on pretty thin, that way you don't lose any texturing that you might have done. I texture all of these shingles too in place. If some tear or rip, it just makes it look that much more authentic, I guess. And here, don't pay too much attention to all these different paints. I just made a gray, a brown, and a darker gray, I think it was. You'll see later on, this is going to look like a really weathered cedar shingle by the time I'm done. You're kind of just looking for like a grayish brown color. And I dry brushed with that linen all the shingles. I forgot to get that in the video, but it's exactly what I'm doing here. I just did it on the shingle. And in a downward motion, I'm just highlighting pretty much everything. We're going to wash all this here, and it'll knock all that color down quite a bit. You just want to think of where the light is coming from and stay consistent throughout the build. Alright, now we're using a black wash here, a homemade black wash. And you want to put this on pretty heavy. You just want to kind of keep an eye on it for maybe a half an hour or so after you apply it, because it's definitely going to try and tend to drip and build up on the ends, and you want to try to avoid that. Just use a brush to try and wipe that off. And I used a brown wash on the wood, which I didn't show, but you've seen that in the past video. And here we're just doing a final light, real light dry brush over the whole piece. I like using either parchment or linen by Folk Art. They've got a little bit of tan to them. It's not a true white, so I think it blends well with the wood color, and even the gray for that matter. Alright, now we got to the fun part, the details. What I did here is I took some green stuff and I made 3 little robin eggs out of it, and I took a sponge or like a little Brillo pad, made a little nest, and a bunch of little twigs and sticks from outside. And you can see I'm just using a little bit of tacky glue to hold it all in place, and just get creative with it. Just glue stuff every which way, and the more crazy it is, the better it's going to look, because it's a bird nest. Alright, so I've zenithal primed it, which is basically I painted the whole thing black, sprayed it black, and then at about a 45-degree angle I just hit it with a little bit of white paint, spray paint, to show me where my shadows are. And now I'm just doing a base coat of brown, and then we're hitting it with some lighter brown in some areas, just to have some contrast. You'll see I already painted the eggs there, like a light blue. And this sponge really took the paint like unbelievable. It took quite a few coats to get it to actually stay. Now I'm doing a dry brush of like a light tan with some yellow in it. Going for the dead stick look, dead branches and stuff like that. And then another dry brush of a tan. Alright, so as you can tell by now, I love hot glue. It's a little messy with the strings, but I work with it enough where I can get rid of them pretty quick. And just throw that hot glue in there and stick the nest in, and it's not going anywhere. This tends to be most people's favorite part of the entire piece. And there we have it. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around for part 3 of my windmill build. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure to click on this link above for part 4, and with that, make sure you hit that like button, comment, and subscribe, and the bell notification for all further videos here on Tabletop WitchCRAFT.